All right, so we are now on chapter 7. So chapter 7 is energy for life, and today is the lesson on 7.1, which is nature's energy conversions. All right, so we're going to talk about plants and photosynthesis a little bit, and why are plants so important. So life on Earth could not exist without plants. The ability of plants to make oxygen made it possible for oxygen-breathing animals to develop on this planet. So plants are taking in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and they're turning it into oxygen for us to be able to breathe in the oxygen. Plants also capture energy from the sun, and they use it to produce food in the form of glucose. Animals that eat roots, stems, leaves, and the meat of another animal, they all depend on plants every day. Our bodies are unable to convert solar energy to the energy we need for life. The energy we use can be traced back to the energy trapped by plants in the form of glucose. So our energy level and our health depend on the food we consume, and good health all depends on plants. All right, so here we're looking at Alberta's wheat fields, the major source of natural energy. Chlorophyll that's in the wheat plant, it captures the sun's energy and converts it into chemical energy. It's stored in glucose. Glucose is a form of carbohydrate. Scientists have also copied this process of photosynthesis in solar cells, which are able to convert the sun's energy into electric energy. All right, so here we're taking a look at plant cells, and specifically the chloroplasts within the plant cells. So like we said before, solar cells convert energy from the sun into electric energy. And the model and prototype for this technology was plants and photosynthesis. So the cells of green plants have these special parts within them that convert it to energy, which plants can use. And those cell parts are called chloroplasts. So we can see those in these cells here, all these green parts here. And then here in this diagram of the cell, this is a plant cell. We can see the nucleus here. These green structures right here, here, and here, those are called the chloroplasts. And these chloroplasts contain a special chemical called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll, it's a green colored chemical, and it assists in converting the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the water into glucose and oxygen. And this process is called photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water plus light energy. So we can see here in our word equation, those are the reactants, and it produces glucose and oxygen. And the second, we can see the chemical formula, and we can see that it is also a balanced chemical formula for photosynthesis. It's 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water plus light energy produces glucose, which is C6H12O6, plus 6 oxygen. So glucose, like we said, it's a carbohydrate. It's a sugar. It's a simple carbohydrate that's rich in chemical energy, which plants and animals can use. So plants manufacture it and then store it in their stems, leaves, and roots. And then our bodies use the carbohydrate as a source of energy. So in this diagram, we can see the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. Those are the reactants, and it's producing oxygen and glucose. Here again, we're seeing how a plant captures solar energy to manufacture carbohydrates. So the ingredients for photosynthesis, the input is the water from the soil, energy from the sun, and carbon dioxide from the air. The converter is the chlorophyll in the chloroplasts. They trap the solar energy needed to combine water and CO2 into glucose and oxygen. The output is the glucose, which is a carbohydrate. It gets stored in plants, and then oxygen, which is the other output, gets released into the air. Cellular respiration is the process that is basically opposite to photosynthesis. It's a process used by all plant and animal cells to obtain energy from their food. So all cells use energy from cellular respiration to maintain their life processes like movement and breathing and reproduction, anything that uses energy. Glucose is the main source of energy for all cells, but cells can also get energy from proteins, fats, and other food molecules. Like we said before, our bodies cannot capture the energy directly from the sun. We have to eat the plants, or we have to eat the meat of animals that have eaten green plants, the herbivores. So here is the word equation and chemical equation for cellular respiration. So it's glucose plus oxygen, which look familiar because these were the products from photosynthesis. Now they are the reactants in cellular respiration. All right, so glucose plus oxygen is producing carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So here are the chemical formulas here. C6H12O6 plus 6 oxygen produces 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, and energy. This is taking place in plant cells and animal cells, and it's taking place in special organelles called mitochondria. So here in the plant cell, we can see the mitochondria. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. In the animal cells, we can see 3 as well, 1, 2, and 3. Notice that only the plant cells have the chloroplast. There's chloroplast here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shown in this plant cell. Animal cells obviously will not have chloroplast because we do not make our own food using photosynthesis. We have to eat the plants or eat the herbivores. So this mitochondria that we see here are the power plant of the cell. In order to provide fuel to this power plant, humans must consume the chemical potential energy from plants and animals. And within the mitochondria, this is where the chemical potential energy is then turned into energy. So here we can see the 2 energy conversions taking place. The first one shows the energy conversion in plants. The input energy was solar energy, the converter was the chloroplast in leaves, and then the output energy was the glucose, which is a form of carbohydrate. Here we're looking at animals and how they're converting that plant energy in this formula of cellular respiration. So the input energy is glucose, the converter is the mitochondria in the cells, and the output energy is the muscular activity in muscle cells, for example, being able to move, so kinetic energy. All right, there are a couple videos here. There are these links here to watch on photosynthesis and cellular respiration. A point to note here is lactic acid. When you work hard at running or skiing or working out at the gym, your cells release energy from glucose. But cells aren't getting all the oxygen they need when you're working hard, and they cannot release all that energy from glucose. So as a result, cells start to make this waste product called lactic acid. And when that lactic acid is produced, the muscles tire quickly, they become stiff and painful, which you may have noticed if you're working out really hard. All right, energy conversion, plants to animals. So during all energy conversions, a certain amount of energy becomes waste energy, and we've talked about this quite a bit. It's in the form of heat, that waste energy. So for example, if you're walking, the body is not going to convert 100% of the chemical energy in glucose to kinetic energy. Some energy is always lost, and the most common type of waste energy is heat or thermal energy, which gets lost to the surrounding environment. So your body produces thermal energy to keep your body warm, and it releases the excess as waste energy. So for example, you get warmer when you increase your physical activity, which means you're releasing more thermal energy. And Another example, the temperature of a cool room increases when more and more people enter. And again, that's because of all the thermal energy being released by the people's bodies. Here we're looking at an ecological pyramid, which shows there's many organisms at a lower level to support a smaller number of organisms at a higher level. And the reason is because of the amount of waste energy at each level. Only about 10% of the energy in one level is actually transferred to the next level. The other 90% of the energy is used for normal body processes like movement and growth and reproduction and keeping the body temperature constant in warm-blooded animals. The energy that stays in the organism is then eventually released by decomposers after the organism dies. And eventually this energy provides the energy needed for the growth of new organisms. So here we can see an energy pyramid. It's showing that it takes many organisms at the lower levels to support the fewer and fewer organisms as we go higher up the pyramid. The mouse that's going to eat the wheat here only gets 10% of the energy, the wheat captured from the sun. The owl is a secondary consumer, and it's only going to get 10% of the energy that the mouse got from the wheat. There is a video here as well for you to watch on energy pyramids and that 10% rule. All right, and these are the questions for 7.1, page 122, number 1 to 4.